why is self-knowledge so hard? Why is it so hard to actually know ourselves? To accept ourselves. I mean, that's another step, but they go hand in hand. All of us, all of ourselves. Like, how do we get to it? How do we know it? How do we accept it? How do we just be it? And also something else, but goes hand in hand. They're all very connected. Why is it so hard? Because we are insanely good at lying to ourselves, essentially, but we believe every lie. It is nuts if you think about it, how off our perceptions can be, and our interpretations, and our memories. They are completely inaccurate a lot of the time. Just talk with someone else. So, like, my wife and I have had countless arguments in our time together. And what's the most basic root of many arguments? We remember things differently. We have different interpretations of the same friggin' event. And then we argue about it. You did this. No, you did this. That's not what I said. You said this. This is what happened. No, she did this. And then he did that. No, she. No. It's like, huh? Didn't something actually happen, like, in reality? How can two people have such different interpretations? I mean, that's just on the personal level. And I know studies on perception and psychology and stuff, and we literally will perceive things differently based on our state of mind, our level of anxiety, la 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 la. You literally see things, hear things differently. Like, what? Like, no wonder we are in a jungle of, like, what are we supposed to believe? What are we, like... And I'm a person who completely believes, less so now, his own memory, okay? His own version of things. I completely think it's right. I've learned over time to not do that, because I've seen plenty of times where it's not accurate, and that's just a fact, and I have to face that. It is slightly off. It's reinterpreted. It's a little bit shaped into something else over time, colored by stuff. So I know from personal experience what it's like to have no doubt about my own story, basically, my own version of things. So I can get into heated arguments with people about how things were and what happened, and I get very, like, offended if someone says something happened differently than the way that I remember it, which is absurd. That in itself is absurd. So it's almost like the whole, like, structure that everything's built on, our understanding of ourselves, is faulty. Like, we believe it too much as part of the problem. Like, it is a melted together, strange thing that's going on in here. And our emotions and feelings about things, our traumas of the past, our everything, color everything that, like, happens to us, everything that we go through. So to tease all this out, not that you have to tease everything out, but to come to terms with it, let's say, or to accept it, or to see ourselves as these, like, whole, full things that have a very complicated, wishy-washy thing going on up here and in here, it's really hard. It's super hard to do that. Sometimes it's very hard to know even what to believe up here. It's like, you can get super into self-doubt and use that as, like, a negative thing, a source of, like, depression. I can't even remember what happened? And I have so many things going on. I can't even like integrate it into one coherent story. Like there's too much, and I can't latch onto anything. I have had the opposite problem, which is it's really easy for me to have a too concrete structure, story, way things are, and it's too rigid. And I can't move out of it. It's not flexible enough. So that when life changes, it's hard to like shift with it. So like you gotta move. You gotta be able to change. I think that's one of the things too that we like. It's so hard to move along. So like we love to have one idea of how things are or who we are, and that's just not right. It's not accurate. We're not the same person when we're 16 as we are when we're 36. Like, what? No, of course not. You don't have this like one, personality. Like you shift, and to move along with it, we have these different roles that we move through that we have to change as we go. You move from child to freaking parent. Like, there's one for you. It is extremely hard for us to like move along because you even have to have a shifting sense of identity as you go. So how are you supposed to be stable and flexible at the same time? Like, how are you supposed to keep up with all the changes? I mean, it took me forever to feel like I had caught up to my current place and time. Like I'd sort of not figured out, but gone through at least the past and come to terms with like a lot of it. That took a really long time, like sustained effort. I don't think we even have to do that, but I had to do it to feel more like able to be here, to like accept who I am, what I've gone through. I mean, it is overwhelming. It's like, and a lot of people I think are overwhelmed by it, and it's very clear. Especially when things happened in the past that are so bad that you don't want to look at them. Obviously, these things exist. And that's why that's why trauma is so devastating. I mean, because you can't look at it. So you can't make it a part of you. You can't make it a part of your story, but it did freaking happen to you. It did happen in your life. Some traumatic things happened in my life. Brain surgery. I've made some videos about this. That was traumatic for me. Okay, it changed my life in a flash, overnight. And it took me 10 years to start to be able to like talk about that. 10 years, to really like get to what the heck had happened to me. So why is it hard to know yourself? Because it's really hard to face reality sometimes. Like, yo, you are changed. Your half your face doesn't move properly, okay? You're deaf in one ear, dude. Is that an easy thing to face? No. Is that an easy thing to include in my story? No. And I think that's nothing compared to some of the like family trauma that a lot of people can go through, even that I went through. That's not as hard. So so essentially, like, if I don't integrate that into myself, my knowledge of myself, if I'm blanking that out, or if I'm denying it basically the whole time, I'm lying to myself. That's a lie. Okay, my mind, my story maker up here, is lying. It's a huge omission, and it creates discomfort constantly, always, anxiety. This thing that I'm denying, everyone else can see. I put it out into the world constantly. So there's a mismatch. And that creates issues. So it's so freaking hard to have a true, relatively accurate version of yourself in your head that if you have a true version in your head, you probably accept it. Because the only reason why you can't get there is because you don't accept parts of yourself. I didn't accept that this had happened to me and that it might be permanent. That was too hard to handle, so I didn't accept it. So it wasn't part of my story. And it caused a huge amount of anxiety. So it's one version of how this goes. But man, we are so good at lying to ourselves, at denying, at omitting, at rewriting, at misperceiving. We are like masters of this. It is everywhere. We're all like, what the hell? I mean, it is mind-boggling if you really think about how good we are at this. But we can work on it. And we can get to something a little bit more accurate. And I think there's a lot of power that comes from that, and health from that, obviously, and less anxiety, less bad feelings. Also healthier relationships, like if you're acting from a truer place, if you have a more accurate view of yourself, more knowledge about yourself, if you can accept that, you will be more yourself. You will act more like yourself. You will be more open in relationships, more able to accept other people's love, and these things all go hand in hand. But why self-knowledge so hard is a good jumping off point for all these epic topics. In any case, I'm sure there will be more to come on this front. That's it for now. Have a great day. Bye.